If you're thinking about changing schools, why wait? At Manhattan University, love those guys. You don't have to start over. With transfer-friendly pathways, your credits count, and you keep moving forward. From day one, you're part of Jasper Nation, preparing for the real world. And with New York City just a train away, opportunity is everywhere. Ready to move forward without missing a step? Visit manhattan.edu/transfer and enroll today. Manhattan University. Don't start over, move forward.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Trump is now threatening to sue Trevor Noah for a joke he made during the Grammys last night about the president's past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. How significant is that?
Yeah, and I know this might sound like a punchline, but this is real life. We should cue up the joke itself. Here's what Trevor Noah said when he was riffing with the audience during the Grammy Awards last night.
That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
Having fun, telling a joke, but Trump has previously said he never visited that island off St. Bart's. He called the joke a, quote, defamatory statement. And in a post on True Social at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Time, Trump said, "It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty of dollars." That was the comment from the president overnight. We have seen many, many cases of the president threatening lawsuits. He oftentimes does not follow through. But every once in a while he does. He's suing the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the BBC. Those media outlets are fighting those lawsuits. Now he's adding Trevor Noah to the list of people he is threatening to sue. But it's very clear from that clip, Trevor Noah was poking fun of the president, having fun with a joke. And we live in a reality now where the president will threaten a lawsuit against a comedian for doing so.
Well, Brian Stelter, appreciate it very, very much.
It's very clear that it was a defamatory joke, Brian. And it's very clear that Trump may want to sue the I want to be funniness out of Trevor Noah, which would be fun. Look, if you're expecting a lot of analysis of the Grammys, I'm sorry, it ain't going to happen because I didn't watch it. I did see Billie Eilish remarks. Did you see any of that, Carlos? Billie Eilish stands up and starts quacking on about this being stolen land, and then she uttered profanities, the F-bomb, F-U to ICE. And, of course, all these Hollywood types just standing up, applauding every single line. Scott Jennings had a great takedown of this today, mentioned the fact that Billie Eilish owns an incredibly huge mansion on what was once Indian tribal territory, and he's noticed that she hasn't made any steps to give her mansion, the land or the mansion, back to those who she claims land was stolen from. Which just is about all of it. That goes for almost every single one of them. Anyway, welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. Here is another question I have for you. Both Carlos and TJ, I have a question for you to start out today. How has the government shutdown affected your life?
What government shutdown?
What government shutdown? Carlos.
I thought they didn't. I didn't hear anything about it.
The government, it's a partial shutdown. It's been shut down since Saturday, Sunday.
I had a busy weekend.
Yes, my friends, the government has been shut. Your fair government has been partially shut down. What parts of the government are shut down, you ask, because you can tell so many people are affected by it. Funding has lapsed for the Department of Homeland Security, which includes ICE. ICE already has their money. It's in the big, beautiful bill. So things like TSA, Customs and Border Protection, the TSA, FEMA. If there's a big emergency out there, and there could be, all the snow and cold weather around the country, the governments have shut down, the Democrats have shut down the government again because they put illegal immigrants first. Ahead of every single American citizen, if you're a Democrat, those who are not citizens have more rights than you in your own country. And the Democrats want to make sure that their illegal immigrant base is always front and center. Screw you. Well, America's small caffeinated mom just told me she knows somebody that's not going to get paid. That's okay. They pay them eventually, so don't worry. They'll get the money eventually. You may have to do you may, in the meantime, though, if you know government workers that are not going to get paid, and Democrats are threatening to prolong this, by the way, because they want all sorts of extractions from Republicans and from the Trump administration, and they want to wipe out ICE, or at least make sure that some of their members can get killed. And I'm not kidding. The Democrats are demanding that they allow themselves to get doxxed. And you see the threats every day online, and Democrats must see them too, about people that want to kill ICE agents that are still out. You have this crazed Soros DA in Philadelphia pledging to hunt them down like Nazis. You have all this Gestapo language that the Democrats have thrown around. And so, when the Democrats are demanding that they get to know who the identities are of these ICE agents, what they're really saying is they want to see harm come to them. That's what they're saying. Because anybody knows that the way that they've been doxing people, following them around, taking their license plate, the coordinated attacks on ICE, which, by the way, some of which apparently, according to other news reports, are being paid for by people with ties to the communist government of China and others. This is very serious stuff. And the Democrats, of course, put ICE agents' lives at the bottom. Do you know in Virginia, by the way, the new governor there, under her leadership, now let me see if I can get this story up. I want to get it right. I saw the story posted on social media, and it was just stunning when I saw it. Here it is. This is the post that was made. Here, let me just read it to you. Virginia ends order for police to cooperate with ICE. And then someone said, Virginia, under Democrat Abigail Spanner, will now release an illegal alien who strangled his 8-month-old baby sister to death with a charging cord without turning him over to ICE. Now, I don't know whether that's just a supposition because this illegal alien is in jail, but that's what people are fearing. I'll have to look into the specifics of that story, but that's some of the things that people are fearing. In addition to taxing everything in sight, we played over and over last week some of the 50 taxes that Democrats are proposing on Virginians. They do want to let illegal immigrants go without checking with us. Portland's mayor has said that he's demanding that ICE get out of his town after they conducted raids there. And I just want to know what big boy mayor out in Portland is going to do if ICE doesn't leave. But, at any rate, if you nail somebody that will not be paid because your government has been shut down so the Democrats can show their love for illegal immigrants again, you might want to send them a care package, especially as cold as it is in some places in this beautiful country of ours. Snow falling on the ground. I have some beautiful pictures people have been sending me. Text. You know who I talked to today? I talked to a friend of mine who is an astronomer. You'll meet him in a few weeks. You'll meet Gary in a few weeks. He is amazing. And we talked about an hour and a half ago or something, and he is going to come on the show at some point. We're going to talk about the new moon mission that's happening. I asked him a question. I asked him, with the new moon mission, when it happens, what does he think the response from the kooks will be? Will they believe it this time? Because, a lot of the kooks don't believe that we ever went to the moon. They think the whole Apollo space program was a big fabricated show. Nothing, never went to the moon. Oh, it was shot in some backlot studio somewhere. So now we have more streaming than ever. We have more media than ever. We're going back to the moon. And aside from wondering what the public reaction is going to be, will the kooks finally give it up and say, yeah, I guess we went to the moon? I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to talk about a lot of other things, too, when over the course of the next, as much time as God gives me on this air, we endeavor to speak about some of the things that are happening in the cosmos. And there's lots of exciting news in that particular sphere of the universe, speaking of the cosmos. Meanwhile, getting back to this government shutdown, here's what's going to happen, folks. Mike Johnson says on Tuesday Republicans will vote. Democrats are, of course, in love with their illegal immigrant base. They're saying "niet," a little Soviet language, "niet." And what the Democrats are proposing to do is try to block it any way possible. If Johnson can hold together the coalition, okay, then they've got a deal. Now, it's only for 2 weeks. And guess what? So even if it opens again, in 2 weeks, it's going to close again. Perhaps. Because it's only stopgap funding, meaning 2 weeks gives them time to negotiate a deal. A deal on what? A deal on ICE. And there were members of the Republican caucus, the usual suspects that are balking, that want to go along, bend over, grab the ankles for the Democrats, including Sue Collins, including Tom Tillis, North Carolina, including Lisa Murkowski. Sue Collins, I'm willing to look at their ideas, speaking of the Democrats. I'm willing to look at their ideas. They want to stop ICE from doing roving patrols. They want ICE demasked. And they want identification, names. They want to make it easy for the haters of ICE to track down the ICE agents so that they can do them harm. And here you have Democrats like Republicans, I said it right the first time, people like Sue Collins, Tom Tillis, Lisa Murkowski. I'm willing to listen to their ideas. Well, Speaker Johnson said today that, and this is what makes the 2 week thing a little bit. He's already saying it's not something. Things are not going to happen. Cut one. Speaker Johnson was asked about some of the shutdown stuff when he was on Fox News. And this is how he responded.
They don't sound like they're going to be ready to cave on some of these things. They want masks off of these ICE agents. They want them wearing ID that tells exactly who they are. I mean, are those the kinds of things that you think any of your members are going to cave on?
Well, those two things are conditions that would create further danger. I mean, Tom Homan told Leader Schumer himself, I was part of the conversation in the Oval Office a few days ago, he said that's one of the demands that I'm not going to be able to implement. I have to protect my officers. And when you have people doxing them and targeting them, of course we don't want their personal identification out there on the street.
Democrats do, and some Republicans like Sue Collins and Lisa Murkowski are saying, well, I'm willing to listen to their ideas. We know what they want to do. I have some interesting sound bites here. I don't know whether we're going to get to one. We got to take a break. Let's take the break now. I got one from Canada. I don't know whether we're going to have time for it today, but oh man, I watched the full 10-minute interview. Hot stuff from Alberta. James Golden, Snerdley. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Rush.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
.org/love.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Well, I hope to play a few audio pieces for you today, including, if we have time, a meltdown from Joe Scarborough, who got his leotards all in a twist this morning, apparently over the idea of sanctuary city. Over ICE and how the Supreme Court sees what's going on here and is not stopping anything. I remember when Joe used to pretend to be a conservative. I do remember. I met him a few times when he was young, just coming into Congress and just pretending to be one of the biggest conservatives in the world. Anyway, we've got that. This thing from Canada is interesting. Alberta, Canada, there's a movement there to secede from Canada and join the United States. Obviously, it's a long shot, right? But this interview with one of the leaders of that movement, a guy by the name of Jeffrey Rath, is just really interesting. And he talks about the interdependency that Canada has with the United States and how we could really hurt Canada if we wanted to, and we're not doing that, of course. Very interesting. Then there's the ongoing Don Lemon stuff. Senator Sedition, among others, is out defending Don Lemon. Also, one of the things that happened, George Stephanopoulos got it handed to him yesterday on his own show by Deputy AG Todd Blanche. And that was very, very good. Princess Diana's favorite governor in the world has made some remarks on property taxes, which I find really good. So we've got all that plus more, the Clintons and contempt and so much more. So don't go away. Stay right where you are.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
So when do you believe that Mr. Lemon crossed the line from reporting on what was going on to criminal activity?
Conveniently missing from what you just showed, George, is the appellate court and a judge on the appellate court who said just a few days later there was clearly probable cause and it wasn't even a close question. So, and by the way, a grand jury, which is what our system has set up to determine whether probable cause exists, concluded that there was probable cause. That indictment is now public. Everybody in this country can pull it up and read for themselves and see what the grand jury found that Mr. Lemon did. I am not going to comment on the charges specifically because it's not appropriate, but it's interesting that we talk about the First Amendment right. You have a right of freedom of religion, which is just as important as any other right that we have. And George, I don't know if you've watched the videos or read the indictment about what it's alleged that Mr. Lemon did, but if anybody in this country thinks that is, quote, independent journalism, I would like to have a conversation with you. Now, he's obviously has a very good lawyer. He can raise defenses in court to the extent he wants to, but nobody in this country should feel comfortable storming into a church while it's ongoing and disrupting that church service and thinking that we're just going to stand by and let that happen, because there is a statute that does not allow that to happen. It doesn't matter if you happen to be a former CNN journalist. It doesn't matter if you're a rioter. It doesn't matter if you think you're peacefully protesting. You are not allowed to do that.
Yeah. James Golden, Snerdley. No, I mentioned Princess Diana's favorite governor, although, and I must say, in all fairness to Princess Diana, she is a little bit unhappy with her favorite governor for, I think, his less than cool reception to Byron Donalds, who's running for governor after Mr. DeSantis leaves. But still, I mean, her favorite governor by and large in the whole country, and she's kind of talked me there. Not that, I mean, I love Ron DeSantis. I've known Ron DeSantis since he was in Congress. He's such a great guy. And the princess, you know, just, wow. Anyway, he had something to say about property taxes. It's not in the news, but I wanted you to hear it anyway because his take is just so good on it. Cut 11. He wants to get rid of property taxes in Florida. And I want you to just hear the logic behind it. You say, well, why property taxes? He explained it this way. Princess Diana's favorite governor, the governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
From the property tax situation. It's very important, given how that's pinched so many homeowners, particularly our senior citizens who have their homes paid off and they bought it 30 years ago for a certain amount. Now they're being told it's worth so much more and they have to pony up more and more money. It's almost like they have to pay rent to the government just to be able to enjoy their property. And that's wrong. And we need to do something about it.
Now that's a truly interesting take. They paid for their homes. Now, just because the homes are going up in value, the government's demanding they pay rent to the government via taxes just to stay in their own home, which, as seniors, they should just be free and clear to enjoy. I think it's a great take. Now, I mentioned this thing with Canada. I do want to play it because it's instructive. Folks, this 10-minute interview, he decimates the reporter that is doing the interview. Pretty much respectfully, he says her questions are silly when looking at the United States in the schism. He talks about the Trump derangement syndrome that a lot of Canadians have. But they want to be part of what? Princess Diana? Oh, she's thanking me. Yeah. No worries, Princess. Alberta wants to be, there is a movement in Alberta, and that movement, they want to be part of the United States. This liberal reporter is having none of it, but this is the part of the interview. The interview runs over 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I wanted you to hear this part. His name is Jeffrey Rath, and it's people, that's cut 15. And this part just really got my attention.
How much does Canada rely on the United States? If Secretary of Treasury Bessent, so what? If Secretary Bessent wanted to end Canada tomorrow, it would take one memo to all of the bond rating agencies, Moody's, Standard and Fitch, and Poor's, to say that Canada is the poor risk because of all the various things that the United States is going to do with Canadian credit, and Canada would be over. So Canada is being supported by the United States. So just stop with this silliness and trying to create this conflation somehow or other between the Alberta independence movement and being beholden to the United States. I know it's a fear-mongering talking point of the mainstream media with regard to Alberta independence, but we're not buying into it. It's ridiculous.
Boom! I love it. And he's right in terms of the relationship between the United States and Canada. We could ruin their economy if we so wanted to. Okay. Joe Scarborough. Ugh. Cut 7. It'll speak for itself. I have a few comments to make about him. Here's Mr. Scarborough.
The Supreme Court understands what's happening here. The United States, the Roberts Court understands what is happening in America right now, and they understand they have the power to stop it. And I will never understand why they're not stepping forward to do that now. We don't want to be in this purgatory until June. How many more people, Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, will be shot in the streets of America between now and June? You like a powerful executive branch? Fine, that's fine. You still have to interpret the blanking laws. You still have to interpret the laws. You still have to protect Americans' constitutional rights. You still have to stop paramilitary forces from being able to roam.
Shut up. Enough. I can't stand this hypocrite. I can't stand listening to the hypocritical things that, I don't mean to call him a hypocrite, the hypocritical stance. How many people would die in the streets? How many people die in Chicago every damn weekend? How many people die in New York every single day? Well, not so much anymore, every single weekend. Right now, they're dying of cold. While Mondani says that homeless, one of the first things he did, stop picking on the homeless encampments. And so far, 14 deaths in the cold. 2 people died in Minnesota. Have you ever heard Joe Scarborough go on a rant like this over the deaths of American citizens? Like Lincoln Riley. Have you ever heard him go on a rant? Why won't the Supreme Court stop this? How many more people have to die? Have you ever heard any Democrat go on a rant about that? How many more Americans have to die because of illegal immigrants that shouldn't be in the country, being in the country thanks to Democrats and their lawless, they're absolutely lawless claim that they have the right to grant sanctuary, which is not in the Constitution of the United States, that the Democrats can usurp American federal power? Why isn't Joe on his high, stanky horse asking the Supreme Court to stop that lawlessness? Mr. I used to be a conservative. But yet, if people interfere with ICE, and for whether this last case, and I've told you, I've had doubts about this last one. But I understand 2 Americans got killed. They got killed because they put themselves in harm's way, intentionally trying to foment their disgust and anger over ICE into some kind of cause celeb that keeps growing thanks to these elected Democrats. But Joe Scarborough never gets on his high haunches and talks about that. Instead, we got to listen to him blow his top at the Supreme Court. Now, I'll blow my top at the Supreme Court. They should have stepped in and stopped this sanctuary garbage when it started, and we wouldn't even be in this situation. But you never hear Joe Scarborough or any of these other liberals give a damn about the Americans that lose their lives from illegal immigrants. They don't care. They don't care about the crime that comes with it. But yet we got to listen to this. Thank you. I'm sorry. I vented. Got up on my high haunches. Because it's sickening. Okay. CNN. Man, I tell you what, this Harry Enton guy, I wonder how much longer they're going to put up with him at CNN. Because this guy, almost every time he does a report, listen to this, folks. Cut 4 speaks for itself. CNN poster and political guy, Harry Enton, analyst he's
Today
becoming.
I wanted to take a look at some long-term population trends that really should set off a flashing red siren to Democrats nationwide while bringing a big smile to the faces of Republicans nationwide. Why do I say that? Because take a look at the big population gainers versus the last census back in 2020. According to the latest population estimates that take into account the population mid-2025, look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census. Now, it's not just a red state boom. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a red state boom here. But it is not just a red state boom. We're also looking at what I would dare call a blue state depression. Because who are the people? Who and where are the people moving from into the red states? Well, they're blue states. Take a look here. The lowest domestic net migration this decade, All 5 of the states that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. Look at this. California, Harris's home state. New York, where I'm coming from right now, of course. Illinois, New Jersey, and of course the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is a bastion of blue liberalism. These are the states that folks in the United States are moving away from and into the red states, which is propelling a red state boom. Now, this is interesting, right? But it could also have major political ramifications if it holds for 2030, the next census. Because take a look here. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for the 2030 census, look at this. Look at the House seat shifts by state. Remember, of course, we apportion the number of House seats depending on the population in each state. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for 2030, states that Kamala Harris won, they would lose. They would lose 7 seats in the United States House of Representatives. The states that Donald Trump won in 2024, they would gain 7 seats. Now, this isn't just about the House of Representatives, right? It's also about the Electoral College, because the number of electoral votes that each state gets is equal to the number of senators. Each state, of course, has 2, plus the number of House seats that they have. So what would this mean for the House of Representatives? Well, if you remember back in 2024, right, it was all about, we were talking about the blue wall. If Kamala Harris could win the baseline Democratic states and then add in the blue wall states of Michigan, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, she would get to 270 electoral votes. But if all of a sudden we, in fact, have applying the 2025 estimates, the population estimates, to the Electoral College, the blue states plus the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin would no longer be enough. Under the current estimates, you get to exactly 270 electoral votes, the minimum needed to win the Electoral College. If, in fact, you apply the 2025 estimates, look at that. You would only get to 263 electoral votes if you were a Democrat, which would mean a Republican victory. Now, of course, we're still a number of years away from reapportionment, right? We take the census come 2030. But what we can say so far is we got a red state boom going on, a blue state depression going on, people moving from the blue states to the red states. And if it holds for 2030, well, it would make the Democratic nominee for president's job of winning the Electoral College that much more difficult.
Folks, I talked about this last week. The fact that, number one, we have a lower population growth. Number two, you look at where this stuff is moving, and Democrats, just on population growth alone, could lose seats. Now you add this. The estimate was if the population continues to shrink in overall numbers the way that it is, Democrats could lose 6 seats. Now look at the way that they're moving. That's 7 seats that they could lose. That's 13 seats before you even start talking about the impact of deportations. Folks, this is why it's so important, this battle over illegal immigrants. Democrats could actually be in a position, the worst case I.C.E. scenario, they could lose over 20 seats, depending on how many people are deported, together with this population loss, together with migration into red states. They might lose 20 seats. Now, what does that do to the Electoral College? They are in a battle, a political battle for the life of their party. James Golden, Snerdley, we're short on time. So, we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
It's The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Now, here's James Golden.
Well, we're leaving you today with the Carpenters, who started a 4-week run at number 1 with the compilation of their singles as an album, 1969 to 73. 12 hits, including this one. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, back tomorrow. Until then, Princess Di has another estimate. Don't forget the gerrymandering. Democrats could lose big. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.